Yo, 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 let's go, go, go. Let's get talking about Recreativo. Goals from Victor and por supuesto Roberto. Malaga toying with Huelva like blocks of Lego. A good win for Malaga, so let's not be coy. A few days before we head north and go to Alcoy. That's the hometown of Alcoyano. Getting revenge against them is part of the plan, bro. Of course I'm going because I think I've turned loco. FFS, WTF YOLO. Heading up north, riding solo to the Estadio El Callao. Are Malaga going to win? Then how? Well, here's some Malaguista pundits to explain how we deliver that pow. It's the cool cats from the Giri cast. Meow. Good day, everyone. I am Matt Harrison, and you are listening to the Malaga fan podcast, the Giri cast on Sport Direct Radio, and a part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. As always, I am joined by the usual gang. Tonight we have got, I'll go Nick Bell first. Nick, how are you?
Not doing too bad, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, very good. Almost half term, almost a week off for me, so I'm trying to G myself up to get over the finish line. Luke Chambers, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. Evening all. Pleasure to be here as usual, and I'm looking forward to chatting about a Malaga victory after last week's morbid show.
Indeed. And someone who was there to see that Malaga victory in the flesh was Chris Marquez. Chris Marquez, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. I've had a good week, actually. Perhaps I was going to mention it quickly at the start because I did have a Primera Federación double header this weekend. I went to Antequera, and I just thought it was worth a mention because I was given a bit of a heads up by a friend of ours, but they've got a new Giri owner. They've got Mike Garlick's their new owner, the guy that took Burnley from the Championship to the Europa League. So thought it was worth giving a shout out to a fellow Giri who's gone to a different football club in our league. And he lives in
Malaga, isn't it? It's his second football club in the area.
It is indeed. Do you want to tell us the other one?
Is it St. Joseph's in Gibraltar?
It is indeed. That's yeah.
Can I?
Well.
He also.
I question myself, like what his plan is with Antequera, because if you look at their ground, you look at their following, it's very small. It's not so big, so not sure what he sees in it, to be honest.
Well, you could have said that about Burnley when he took over Burnley as well. You know, very much a team in the shadow.
No, but Matt, you've been to Antequera.
To be fair,
different.
I would tell you I've been to Burnley. Burnley's not a very big place, and actually, geographically, it is sort of out there by itself, a bit like Antequera. Now, there's a lot of differences between them too. I would just like to emphasize, but yeah, I think it's quite cool. Apparently, he looked at Linense as well. I read, but
you know what would surprise us when you said, "Oh no, I've never been to that stadium." That would surprise me, but because you have been everywhere.
Well,
that surprises with a place where you didn't go, because we know you've seen everything in Europe.
No. To be fair, I think everyone in this conversation has probably been to Burnley.
Yeah, I've been to Burnley.
I've been to Burnley.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going back, but I've been to Burnley.
I almost got my ticket to Burnley, and then I scored a goal for Swansea fans against Burnley fans, brackets, some kids from Burnley, in a sort of drunken kick around in the cricket ground next to Turf Moor.
Is there anything this guy hasn't done?
No.
That was really
he met everybody. He knows everybody. He's even scored against Burnley fan club.
No, I was really misunderstood me there. This was like a random kick around with some kids, and the Swansea fans got a bit drunk and said, "Oh, we'll have a game with you." And yeah, that was it.
Is it a memorable goal though, Matt? Is it a goal you can always remember?
I it really hard from about 5 yards, and then there's a load of like drunken Swansea fans. Well, a load, about 20 in the stand, and they went "Whee!" So I ran over and celebrated in a jokey fashion.
So you played against 12-year-old kids?
Probably, yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a good idea to talk about these things, because drunken Swansea fans playing football against.
Well, it was a bit of a free for all. It's very much
how we've had this story today with you, Matt, as well. If it's not this, it's sending us the very young picture of Ellis Platten at Peterborough as well.
Yeah.
So
it looked like a school trip.
No, it was all very innocent. I didn't realize this could be seen as such a sinister thing. It was all good. But anyway, let's not talk about Swansea City fans. Let's talk about Malaga fans. Not a lot of news this week, so feel free to throw things in later. But I suppose we'll talk about some of the other bits of news when we come to the match day on Sunday, and perhaps maybe some bits around Alcoyano and some of the things going on this weekend. But the big sort of headline this week, I guess, is we have now got 20,000 season ticket holders at Malaga Club de Football. Awesome. Luke Chambers, awesome.
Yeah, unbelievable. Special numbers from a special fan base. Sometimes we need to keep reminding ourselves that we're in third tier of football. But one of the personal things for me with the Malaga fans is like when you're in La Rosaleda, it's the range of the fan base. You've got kids, grandmas, granddads, mums, dads, everything. The fond of saw. It's a good range of people. Whereas a lot of clubs struggle with that in the fan base. Malaga really doesn't struggle with anything like that.
Yeah, just to give you a bit of a comparison with others in our league, I believe Castellon, who have also got a great fan base, they've got 14,000, and Cordoba have got 13. Depot, by the way, have got about 28,000. I read, so obviously they've got a bigger stadium, and but still amazing. Nick, are you excited about a potential Somos 20,000 shirt like we've had before? I don't know if you've got that one.
I don't have that one. No, I'll have to try and grab one. But yeah, no, I look forward to it. Like I say, I'm out for the Ibiza game in a couple of just over a week's time. Got my ticket today, and I think as well, if I remember rightly, even though Depor have got more season ticket holders on average, their fan attendance for the games, it's higher at Malaga than it is for Depor as well. Yeah. So the most supported club literally in the third tier, which is just immense. And they're the best fans. There's no two ways about it. Even the four of us sat here, all part of that journey and that fan base, the dedication to it, were just phenomenal support given the situation the club is in, where they are in the league. It's immense.
Yeah, you say the third tier, but, we must be one of the highest in the second tier as well, obviously.
And in the first tier.
Yeah, true.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
on a fortnightly basis, for whenever we play at home, we're smashing top 6 for Spain. Never mind just the third tier.
It's like the stat what we put out midweek, 4th highest in Spain. Granted, that's when Real Madrid and Barcelona are away, but still unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Even I think at the minute. Don't get me wrong, I know Barcelona aren't playing at the Camp Nou, but they're not getting anywhere near what they could be getting at their the Olympic Stadium or whatever it is really called.
Don't they play in the Young Life, or are they playing in the Olympic Stadium?
It's the Olympic Stadium. It's got like a name beginning with them. I can't quite remember.
It's Stadi Luis Companys.
So, yeah,
it's
the Olympic one. They're only getting like 30,000.
It's going up that mountain, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, I've heard it's on a hill.
Montjuic Stadium, let's call it that. That's easier. Yeah.
The impressive thing is when you look at the numbers, I mean, there's a lot of, like you guys know, passionate Spanish cities, counties, etc. The Basque Country, stuff like Oviedo's, and Malaga are still hitting numbers higher than a lot of these kind of places.
Yeah. Chris, you're one of these season ticket holders. Do you have any sort of theories on why, the season ticket sales have gone up this year? Because obviously last year we had 16,500 when I guess there was talk of we were going to do well in the second division last year, and obviously we didn't. Any theories?
Maybe because I've been doing those videos now. I'm joking. I don't know. It seems I said it in the video as well, which I made last Sunday. That I'm not sure if I put that in, but when I woke up on Sunday morning, I showered, I went out to the bus station, and then on my way to the bus station, I already saw 4 people wearing some kind of Malaga jumper or trousers or something, shirts, and that's quite a lot in just 5 minutes. And then I walked into the bakery in my village, and there was a woman working, and I went for a croissant, and she was wearing a Fondosur shirt. So I think the shitter it goes, maybe people are now thinking we really have to back up, or maybe that's the thing,
Yeah.
because when you go down, when you're going lower and lower, maybe that's the point where people think like are getting more proud. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Well, more, I don't know, more stubborn. Maybe they just want to like say, "Oh, come on, let's sort this out." And I guess
Yeah.
I don't know if don't want to, not just us, but maybe lots of the sort of people that do Malaga social media, the sort of images of La Rosaleda are getting out, and the sort of the away following at the end of last season, which just spilled into this season. Maybe it just looks fun this year, which I think it is more fun this year.
Yes. And if I can oh, go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, when they're winning and scoring goals, and I know it's not the most exciting thing, but it tends to see an uptick. I just like the idea of the lady from the Bakers being the Fondosur and being like, she's white, she's blue, she loves a fucking shoe, Lady Baker, and the Fondosur in a flower in her face.
No, but there's also the thing. I think that Malaga Club de Football shouldn't take that for granted, and that's what they have been doing last Sunday, where the free speech has been throwing into the river, because that's the thing I would like to throw in the river in the next Malaga Gaga.
Okay.
I think what happened last Sunday was horrible. And I think Malaga is taking too much for credit the following they have. And in some way, they believe the fans are stupid or retarded or something like that. Because we are not stupid. And
maybe. Go.
You can't have your fans taken for granted like that. And we are no toys. We are human beings with brains who can think for themselves, who can have their own opinion about things. And maybe Malaga Club de Football should look at themselves. And one person, the head of it, Jose Maria Munoz, is that maybe he should understand that he is not Malaga CF, that it's the people, the fans, the people for Malaga. Those are the ones who are Malaga CF, and not the players, not the president. Nobody that works there is Malaga CF, because that is the fans. Because without the fans, there wouldn't be a Malaga CF. And if you take it away, I think you come to a point where you're crossing a very dangerous line.
Tell you what, Chris, we're obviously going to talk about this perhaps in the match day section, but maybe it's a good idea to get this stuff out of the way now so we can do all the positive stuff about the match in the next bit. So do you want to just quickly outline perhaps what happened at the game in regards of the chance against...
Last week, Fondosur sent out how do you call it, the official statement in which they said that they want Jose Maria Munoz to resign from Malaga Club de Football because his lack of experience, his bad management, the way he handles the club, and because they have a few members of Frente Boquerón who are sanctioned without having through trial. And I think you are not guilty until a judge says you're guilty. So those are the things the Fondo Sur and Frente Boquerón is angry about. This weekend they had flyers with them with Jose Maria Munoz head on it, and they were singing him to resign.
División.
Yes, and what happened? Matt, what did the speaker say?
I sort of, to be honest with you, because the stadium was so loud, which again we can perhaps talk about in the next bit in a positive way, because the Fondo Sur, encouraged the whole stadium to join in with the chants, which eventually it did. I didn't work out exactly what it said.
Until a certain point.
Yeah, but essentially what it said was we will not tolerate like violent chants, and of course the chants were not
violent chants, and they mentioned a law going with it. It's the typical, according to law, blah blah blah. We don't accept any violent chants, and the only thing they did was singing that he should resign or he should be sacked.
Yep,
it wasn't aggressive at all, was it?
So once the speaker said that, like the whole stadium began to sing it, because I mean, how? Do you want to live? Do you want to manage your club in a dictatorship? Is that what Malaga is becoming? Being run by a dictator?
It's a massive red rag to a bull, and we you see this a lot, and it's becoming more and more prevalent, unfortunately, across worldwide football. Ownerships running out with fan bases, things like that. We've had it with the Oystons. Matt, you've had it with previous custodians at Swansea, for example,
and
the current ones as well. And the fact of the matter of this is that 9 times out of 10, dare I say 10 times out of 10, as soon as you go against the grain with the fan base, you have lost the argument. You've lost the battle, because at the end of the day, people who run the club, whether they are owners or temporarily put in charge by a court-appointed receiver, whatever it is, they are merely custodians of the club. They don't own it, and they shouldn't act like they own it either. They are there just to look after it for the benefit of everybody. And like you say, 20,000 people who have put their hands in their pockets and bought season tickets, they have a right to say whatever they bloody want in there. And that's the way it should always be. So I very much back what they're saying now. As soon as you start to silence them, then you have, like I said, lost the argument. You've lost the ground.
I think if you remember last season, Matt, there a game where I think it was Burgos. I can't remember what the protests were against, but they got a banner out above the Fondo Sur, and stewards came straight away and took the banner off him.
It was the same thing. It was a Jose Maria Munoz banner, and maybe someone else mentioned. I can't remember.
But it wasn't the Fondo Sur. It was
above the Fondo Sur. But they were very quick to dive on it to put the flag straight away.
Yeah,
I think a person like Jose Maria Munoz and Quique Perez and everybody at the club who has who can be held responsible for everything at the club should go down on their knees and be thankful to each Malaguista who bought a season ticket this season, and they have to say a mea culpa for the way Malaga is being managed the last season and where we stand now, because I think Malaga should be grateful that the stadium is so full, and I think a person like Jose Maria Munoz should have a look in the mirror and ask himself if he did such a good job last season with the relegation to Tercera.
Yeah, and just quickly, I think it was towards the start of the season, Quique Perez said it would be amazing if we got 16,000 season ticket holders again, and he seemed like, please come again, and people have not just responded to that, they've exceeded that. So yes, I agree.
And there's another thing which I think, because we now have Quique Perez, who in my opinion is doing a pretty good job. Why do we need Jose Maria Munoz? Because he earns a lot of money. We have to pay that as a club. We don't have a lot of money. Why do we still need him?
Because I guess he's like a sort of de facto chairman of sorts, and I suppose we've got to have one by
the court. The court has put him there, isn't he? So he's a judicial administrator. So they've put him in there to run that whilst they operate everything on behalf of Al Thani, whilst they
yes. But if it isn't,
not chase him for other things, basically.
If it isn't bad enough, the judge announced today that he will stay 6 months longer, which I think is a punch in the eye for the Malaguistas from him. That's how I see it.
Well, that's the thing, though, because
you could wait a week till things are a bit calmer.
The two things you've got to look at there is you've got to look at, there is a question, say the judge, for example, looks at this way. He's clearly aggravating and not clicking with a large section of the customer base, but they probably don't care about that. That's got nothing to do with them. From his perspective, he was put in there to make not just Malaga Club de Football solvent, but all the other Al Thani businesses that related to it that they took over solvent. And on paper, you'd say that as far as the financial picture is concerned, it's not great, but it's a lot better than it was. So they can't sack him or remove him without the justification, because for his job role, he's done a good job. Take the emotional side of it and apply that. He's not doing a great job because he's not doing the fan base, but the judge probably doesn't give a shit about that.
No.
The wisest thing to do is the judge could have gone, let's actually think with a bit of bloody common sense here. I've probably got more of these blokes or women or whatever. I could just rotate them. I'll say, all right, Jose, off you pop. You've done well. Crack on. Drop somebody else in. And it's just problem solved, isn't it? So it seems daft all the way up the tree. And, there's an easy win right there to say, I'll tell you what, you're technically an employee of the courts. You're removed. Put somebody else in.
Yeah. I think, I know the Fondo Sur have already come out and said these chants are going to continue. So I'm sure this is a conversation which will come up on future podcasts. So I think we can park it there. Just before we go to talking about that, 3 points that we achieved, got to give a shout out to, we have mentioned Dean Hyson on this podcast quite a lot since he was going through the academy and then was poached by Juventus. And then he went to Roma. Did you see his golazzo on the weekend?
Golazzo indeed. And he's doing it on one of the biggest stages, Italian football.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And there's more news on Dean Huijsen.
Go for it.
Yes.
He's officially now a Spaniard, so he can play for the Spanish national team.
Yeah.
That has been announced today, which I don't quite understand because he's played his whole youth for the Dutch under so many teams. If I look at the Spanish national team, everybody of his age, there is so much potential. He has great potential, but I mean, somehow I think he should have stayed with Holland because he has way bigger chance to play for Holland.
Well, he might do. Yeah, he's probably keeping his options open, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's what
he can
you
still
get.
switch.
No, he wants to switch. He wants to be Spanish.
No, but I mean, like at youth level, he could still go back to Holland at senior level, like if he wanted to. But I remember reading an interview with him earlier in the season and him saying which I thought was a bit strange that he was playing for Holland and he was quite open about he really wants to play for Spain. And he's born in Marbella. I think these things with dual nationality footballers, I always find them really interesting, actually, because I
think it's horrible. And I think it's horrible for one reason, because I see Nick wondering what's going to happen. If you apply those rules for big footballers, I think you also have to apply that rule for normal citizens. What is Dean Huijsen more than I don't know, me, for example? Or what is Dean Huijsen more than Luke?
Yeah, exactly. But I think regards, like, I've only really picked up this picked up more on this working in an international school. And you ask a kid, and like, it might be the same with you, Chris, like, what do you identify with more? Like, I don't know, say they're Spanish and Dutch, for example.
Yeah.
And they struggle. And I think we've joked with you before. Who did you support in the World Cup final? And you've sort of, I was a bit this, and then I changed to this. So I think it's okay, and I think it's because in my head, I sort of grew up thinking you're born in a country, that should be the one you probably play for, and that's completely not. As I've.
Well, I agree, but then I think, because I totally agree on that. I just think if you apply those rules for footballers, you also have to apply them for gardeners or.
It's complicated then.
Well, there's 1,000 examples you could use for that in there.
Yeah, but it should be the same, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the weirdest ones, if you remember, when the old Arsenal goalkeeper Manuel Almunia, he played for Arsenal for a certain amount of years. He's Spanish, obviously, and then he could have changed to English. I mean, how can that?
That was like a sort of myth, because there's the same with Arteta, wasn't it? They said Mikel Arteta. But
because he'd lived there for a certain period.
People had looked into it, and it wasn't. Go check out the Platini played for Kuwait episode all about dual nationality footballers.
Is it a new thing where everything's talking everything?
Yeah, there's genuine cases where it does that. Erling Haaland could have played for England, for example. He was born in Leeds.
Yeah.
Gio Reyna decides to go for the US team. Even bring it closer to home. Aaron Ochoa Maloney, is currently playing for the Irish under 17s. He's the heir apparent to Wes Houlihan.
Jamal Musiala, one of the best upcoming talents in the world, chose Germany over England.
I'm looking forward to seeing Spain's future spine being Dean Hyson and Aaron Ochoa Maloney as the Marbella spine. Anyway,
he'd stick with that. But it is you are probably right what you're saying, Matt. Because at the end of the day, even if you are born in Spain and your name is Aaron Ochoa Maloney, it probably does raise questions. You probably identify more with your community, or like you say,
but it's fine. I think it's fine if that is completely sort of fluid and it's not clear what you are. I think that's the thing I found interesting when I speak to kids in school. That
but it wasn't so good Benzema when he could go to play for Spain, because he tried that, didn't he? He eventually went back to France, but same for Messi. He could play for Spain.
And half the band team could have played for other countries as well, couldn't they? Do you know what I mean? So,
Platini played for Kuwait one moment.
Pardon?
Platini played for Kuwait at one point. I mean,
where did you find that information from, Chris?
But equally, that was nothing to do with his nationality. That was merely a sort of gesture.
Something else happened in Malaga today and yesterday a bit. And probably a lot of the foreign listeners won't know this guy, but there is a famous TikToker.
Chris, we got this later. It's coming up later. We're doing it later, Chris.
No, but it's we have to do it now because it's not happening.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, can we talk about it later when I've written it down to talk about it later?
Okay.
Because I've been desperately trying to get to. Speaking of fluid.
What are you doing?
Speaking of fluid nationality, let's go and talk about some lovely fluid football from Malaga Club de Football this past weekend. Okay, so let's get into talking about that 2-0 win against Recreativo Huelva. I think we've covered the crowd stuff. We've covered the fact 25,000 in the stadium. It said it was a sellout again. It looked pretty full in there to me, to be honest with you. I don't know if you thought it was more than that, Chris. I don't know how these numbers are complete. Pardon?
I did not see one gamba in the stadium.
No, I didn't spend my time counting either, but it looked pretty full in there. So I don't know how that's worked out, but anyway, it was pretty lively in there for a midday kickoff. So let's just go straight to the football. I think we've done enough talking about how good our fans are. Could maybe talk a bit about as we go on. the starting 11 came out at 11 a.m., which still sounds weird to me. We're all, I think the lads we spoke to outside Barcelona Madrid, which was closed, but we hammered through and just drunk outside there in a proper botellón. The two, well, I don't know if you call them surprises. Obviously, Puga and Aviles started their first starts for the club, having signed in January. Luke, what did you think about those two getting their starts ahead of Joaquin and a winger?
I was personally surprised. I mean, I said in my little match preview thing, I wasn't convinced on paper at all. It sounds a bit of a risk because this is obviously a big game. I thought with that lineup, Recre could have overpowered us maybe. But in all fairness, my pre-match views were totally wrong. We were incorrect. And Malaga started off fantastically, really.
Yeah, I think I was in agreement with you. I think once I saw it, I was a little bit like, oh, that could backfire. And then I think once I got in the stadium and sat and really thought about it, I thought, actually, this, I wasn't fully convinced because I know I was on Chris's video saying I was not that confident. But I don't know if it was the atmosphere in La Rosaleda, but I was like, actually, this makes sense that we're having a little bit of a wobble. Maybe we do need to sort of kick some people out in the starting 11. And I know Joaquin, for example, was, I think, Pellicer came out and said it was just to rest him because he hasn't really had a break like others. Nick, what did you think of the starting 11?
Well, as much as I looked at it and I didn't like the idea of a number 3 playing at right back and a number 9 being on the left wing, there were surprises. Like I said, I don't think Joaquin can be discredited for doing much wrong so far this season, but it completely makes sense to me to give him a bit of a rest because we haven't had really a backup right back at all this season. And as far as the left wing is concerned, it's fair game. Kevin's out of form. Hernandez isn't, putting a marker down. So Aviles had given his time to shine. And I think it's good to get minutes in the tank for these guys. I think you can see that, they were hoiked off just before the hour mark. I don't think it was performance related. I think we're just protecting them with getting them back up to fitness. And, when you see the likes of, the centre-back pairing again, a different centre-back pairing, it's rotation central for Pellicer at the moment. He's trying to find a winning formula, and this is going well, but we'll see what happens next weekend.
I think the main one what surprised me was Dione not being in the team. I thought after last week's loss, I thought Dione would have been straight back in, maybe as a 2, I'm not sure, but also that he does play closer to Roberto. So I thought it might have been a little bit of a risk.
Yeah, I agree. It was only really... It was only really once I sat down and looked at the 11 in front of me on the pitch, I was like, oh, yeah, Dione, that's a strange one. Sorry, Chris, what was you going to say?
The thing that really surprised me is not, well, of course, it's the same player I've always talking about. And for everybody who saw my video, he was in it when he was warming up. And I said something about him. Musa again not being in the starting 11. Well, that's not the thing that surprised me. It's the thing what Pellicer said after the match. How good Musa is and how much he deserves a place in the team. And then not playing him. Like, it doesn't make sense. Any word he says,
No.
I just don't know what to think of it. Because I think still that Musa is better than any other centre-back we have.
Okay, maybe I think we'll definitely be talking about the centre backs as this goes on. So maybe we can discuss it.
Dione is unfortunately paying for his first half of the season performance, and the fact that Ferrero's come in and performed so well. I don't think Dione is someone who can play on the left. And why would you sacrifice Daniel Lorenzo when he's playing quite well at the moment? Especially since the turn of the year, to facilitate to Dione. So Dione has been putting good performances in. I'm not saying he hasn't, but where can you shoehorn him in when you've got players that play in his position that are in better form, be that Ferrero, Lorenzo, or Roberto? He clearly doesn't like it out on the left. So, it seems unlucky for him more than anything, but I see it from Pellicer's perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my tweet, which I think lasted about 5 minutes. I was sure we started our game 4-4-2. I got quite excited because
I saw that.
It 100% was though, because before I sent the tweet, I thought, oh, it could just be the positions. They were lined up 4-4-2 going forward for the first 5-10 minutes.
Was that Aguilar's up front, Matt? Was that with Aguilar's close?
And then Danny Lorenzo was very much out on the left, and then as soon as I tweeted it, and then I think our pal Paul tweeted saying, "Oh no, he's definitely out on the left." And then they did switch very quickly, and I thought I did keep an eye out for it to see if we were going to switch between them throughout the game. But we definitely started the game. I don't know whether through accident, but it was definitely 4-4-2, which I thought was quite interesting to see a 4-4-2, but it didn't last. But we did start the game really, really well. I don't know what you guys thought on TV. Again, I was sort of perhaps caught up in the atmosphere of it all. So I'll ask you guys to saw on TV first. It just looked like quite fast and dynamic are the two words I've written down here.
I think it's the start what we've been wanting for the last 23 weeks. Because we kind of start off slow every game, but yeah, like you've just said, Mike, it seemed like they came out with real intent. The Pele press were turned on, and they really didn't let Recre settle into the game.
No, and because to be fair to us, I think we have started not some games similar to this, not quite at this intensity, but then it's almost like we don't make a breakthrough quick enough, and it sort of falls apart. And like I think I might be right in saying Gennaro got a shot off in like the first minute, and I thought that sort of set the tone quite nicely and sort of got the stadium going. I think it was Gennaro. It was Nick, what about you? What did you make of Malaga's sort of first 15 minutes or so?
They were really good. I think the crowd was infectious. The atmosphere was very much behind them, 12th man, etc., etc. And they performed to that standard, a standard which we should expect them every time they play at home. There should be no complaints whatsoever, and it shows the level of football that we are capable of. We just have to keep that up beyond the first 15 minutes and go for half an hour, 45, 60. And again, this match, I think we did do that. And I think probably for the first time since the turn of the new year, we've played with a vibrancy that matches the atmosphere that we've got in the stadium.
Yeah, Chris, you were amongst the sort of vibrant atmosphere down in the Fondo Sur. How is it looking from down there?
It was looking very good. I saw Malaga for sure. The first half an hour was ours. I think we played very well. If I can already name a player who was magnificent again, it was Manu Molina, with again great openings, great passes.
That Manu Molina double pivot is just insane at the minute.
I thought it looked like very well, and I think as long as Renato plays the ball when he has it to Manu Molina, everything will be fine. The thing that worries me is Manu Molina is not available to pass the ball to, then it's a bit different. But I think overall, Malaga had a very good first 30 minutes. I have to say 30 minutes. Because the last 15 minutes was really for Recreativo Huelva.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that shortly, but let's stick with it, those first 30 minutes, like you said. Roberto with the opener. Of course, it was Roberto, 16th minute, and he's so good now. He can fall on the floor, give the defenders time to try and get it, and still score. I'll be honest with you, I thought Malaga, that chance had gone. Roberto, it's just all falling for him at the moment, Lee.
But it's a typical Roberto goal, isn't it? Because he falls and he still doesn't stop working and he still finds a way to get the ball in. Well, probably any other footballer would also have tried it, but not worked as hard as Roberto to know that he still can make that goal. And it shows the eagerness he has.
It is. It's like Chris has just said. It was quite a messy goal. It was a real doggy kind of goal, what Roberto doesn't give up on. I mean, I've got a little note. I don't know if there's any wrestling fans out there, but can you remember Booker T? It was like a spinneroonie in the box, but then he just took it perfectly. But as well, one of the top things were the celebrations for the goal, the players, the crowd. In the words of Chris Marquez, this was insane.
And just to be clear, you mean a Messi goal, not a Leo Messi goal there.
No, I want that special. Definitely
Did you
not.
say insane or insane?
I'm going to say insane this time.
Yeah, and we should say we did have a neutral fan sitting not far behind me. Maybe we shouldn't say who he was less than complimentary about Roberto's skill set, but admired his work ethic, which I think.
I think it's not. I think this person is used to another standard of football.
Yes, and let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
But he was very impressed with his work ethic, and I think this goal summed it up. Nick, anything to add on this moment of genius?
Obviously, a great assist from Carlos Puga, who again will take a lot of confidence from his first half performance. The one thing I love about Roberto is that work rate, but his attempt at a first time shot, he doesn't seem to be in his locker. He seems to, apart from that one goal against the other week when we were all there, when he took it first time against Atletico Baleares. There's been a lot of times this year where he's taken the first time shot and he's completely like miscued it, or he's fluffed it and missed it. And this is the same thing again. He kind of like stood on the ball, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is a great technique, to be fair. It's very much what Ronaldo R9-esque.
Let's not forget Lauren with the ball from God, who came.
Well, I've got another comparison for that later, to be fair. But but like I say, to then do that and then score in the manner that he did shows, the determination.
He reminds me of a player. Roberto reminds me of a player who plays for Liverpool, a Dutch guy named Dirk Kuyt.
In terms of the work rate and that.
Sorry?
In terms of the work rate.
Yeah, in terms of the work rate, and maybe not being like the most technical player, because I also think Roberto is not the most technical player, and so wasn't Dirk Kuyt. But with the work rate, they got their goals.
In true, obviously, we're all on the same line here. I mean, obviously, when I was doing the streams and that the other day, I was talking to Keith, Paul, Carl, and Steve Jackson, and everybody were kind of in the same frame that Roberto didn't have a very good game. He could have scored 2 or 3 maybe, but his work rate will always hire him. Like, you cannot deny the kid's work rate. It really is unbelievable.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I not to jump ahead too much, but in the second half, I think he was like awesome for us, just for keeping us going when we could have like shut down and got a bit knackered. Obviously, it was a really hot day. He did not stop. I know we say this every week, but he just did not stop and deserved more.
The scary thing is, Matt. I put on our Twitter at the time when Roberto went down injured.
Oh yeah,
it's like we literally are that close to disaster. If something happened to Roberto, we have to change the whole style of play.
And honestly, I thought he was bad at first. The way he was slapping the floor, I thought, oh, please be play acting or something. Anyway, we scored again not long after. Einar with the goal this time. A corner from the man you mentioned, Chris, already. Manu Molina flicked on by Aviles. So our 2 new boys get an assist, and then Victor Garcia just sort of appeared from nowhere, no one on him. Nice side foot, easy goal. Not Victor Garcia, sorry, Einar. Yeah, I was thinking because the left foot is. Anyway, Einar scored. I don't know. Anything to add on this goal?
That's a great goal.
I think so.
It's a good goal.
If somebody asked what player you'd like to be in that position, we probably all want to say Einar. But now opening his record for Malaga, he overtakes the great Lorenz Zuniga, I think.
Yeah. He's overtook him. Insane.
Got 2 mentions for Lorenz Zuniga in this cast.
He's living here rent-free, Lorenz Zuniga. But he was a striker's finish, to be fair.
A great finish.
What's his problem now, Lorenz Zuniga?
So just checking. It was Einar, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Einar.
Yeah, Einar.
Galilea.
No.
Not again.
But Galilea score a goal.
It's a great goal.
Oh.
But it's, again, similar to what happened to us in Melilla. Shocking set up defensively from Huelva. Even when Avila's got the flick on, Ainar's got the run of the park behind him, hasn't he? He's just got so much space. And again, really finish.
A day out in desert. And I think because we also say how great Malaga was, but let's also recognize how bad Recreativo Huelva was, because it wasn't looking good in the first 30
it was
minutes.
strange. I expected a lot more from them. I really did. I thought it to be a really tough game.
But I still think this was more us playing well than them being absolutely awful. More so than, like, I know we talked about the Murcia game where they were all over the shop, Murcia.
Oh no, Murcia was very, very different.
Yeah, that's right. I know we're not really comparing here, but I did feel like we made them look bad here. As much as, obviously the corner, that's really sloppy. But I will say we're getting quite good at corners again now. Manu Molina is definitely the corner taker.
But yeah, like, in a position to admit that you were wrong, Luke. Yet.
Hello.
Yeah, I am.
Hi, Carl. Hi, Carl. I have a strange question. Maybe we are going to record the podcast in half an hour. A bit late today, but I didn't really see anything in the stadium. So, can you tell me how it was? I didn't see any of the goals.
I didn't go.
No, but did you see it on TV?
Oh yeah.
I thought maybe I can ask you like how it was.
Yeah, cool.
How were they playing good? Were they playing bad?
I thought they played really well. For the first half an hour, I thought they were absolutely fantastic. 15 minutes after the second goal, then struggled a bit, and they came back into it. 12 came back into it, and then kind of half time rearranged, and he was reasonably comfortable. Like 12 ran out of steam.
So Roberto scored. Do you know who scored the second one? I think Roberto was the first, right?
Yeah,
Einar. Well, thanks, mate. And the second goal, the second half, was that any good?
Yeah, it was steady. It was like some of the games we've seen before, where they go 2 goals up and then kind of sit on it a bit, allow the opposition to come back into it. They have a few chances. It's just that third goal, and you're getting 3, 4, 5. But that was my take on it. Roberto's goal was, I don't know how he managed to do it, but he kind of miscontrolled the ball, fell over, but then on the floor managed to chip the defender. It was incredible.
That's really Roberto, isn't he? Like we were working hard and everything.
Yeah. It was. Normally anybody on the floor would just sort of drag their leg along, and it would just go along the floor. But managed to lift it over the defender, and he got it sort of knee high from the floor, from being laid on the floor. He got it like knee high. It was incredible.
I told you I'd get you on the podcast, didn't I, Carl?
Are we live?
We are live.
Wow. I think Leo needs to be the next guest.
Okay, we will call him. Carl, we're going ahead with the podcast. Thank you for being in it this week.
No problem.
Adios,
we will
Carl.
speak soon. Here we go.
Absolutely. In Shane.
In Shane. Ciao. Bye.
Well, that
Cheers,
was
Carl.
He had no idea, did he?
Pardon?
What just happened?
He had no idea, did he?
No, he didn't.
Chris, we didn't have no idea.
We didn't have any idea. We couldn't really hear it.
I saw him calling, and I just picked up, and this happened. Very beautiful. You have to interact with your listeners.
Yeah. Anyway, last 15 minutes. We're gonna have to jump through this really quickly. Recre responded really well. This is where I wanted to sort of say, I thought you talked about how we like Musa on this podcast. I'm really sorry, but Musa is going to struggle to get in if Monte and Einar keep playing like this. I thought they were both absolutely exceptional this game, especially the latter, Einar there. Luke, our defensive performance this game?
Yeah, really happy with it. I thought we were stable throughout. Obviously, the big dog in the goal as well with the Superman-like save. Very important that we took that 2-goal lead into half-time.
Yeah, absolutely. That save as well. I think I shared it on my Instagram yesterday saying there's something like particularly satisfying about that. You don't really see goalies catch the ball like when they're fired at them.
He floated to the top corner.
To give it a hat trick of mentions for Lauren Zuniga, it was like the touch from heaven, but as a save in my book.
Yes and no, because the ball went like really slow. It was more like show jumping or show throwing himself on the floor instead of.
And I'm all for it.
A real insane catch.
Header.
It was beautiful.
He had to catch that. Like it was. I don't think that was for the cameras. He had to jump up there to save
No,
it.
that was from the camera.
It's
for
the
camera.
fact he's had to make the effort to jump across, but then he's made it look so effortless.
No, he made it look elegant. He could have made it less.
But
elegant.
I'd like to know what was the other option. What else could he have done?
Kick. If it's not a scorpion kick, not interested.
I would have let it go in, mate. To be honest,
we sort of slagged him off.
Like that, you know? No, but it was a good save. But no, it was a good save. But to be honest, it wasn't a difficult save. That's more the thing I want to say about it.
No, I'm not saying this is good as some of his other saves this season.
It was just a beautiful save, a beautiful moment.
It was a beautiful save. It was a show.
I think it is a good save. I don't know what we've expected him to do otherwise. We literally slagged him off at the start of the season for palming the ball into the box when he was saving it, and now he's catching it.
So that he catched it. But the thing I'm saying is, it wasn't so hard because I was sitting behind it, and I thought, what a save! Time I thought it was a very easy save. Even me with my 38 fat life body could have got that out of goal.
Yeah, but anyway, I think
it didn't look so elegant, by the way, because it looked very elegant, but it wasn't such a difficult ball.
Okay. I'm not saying it was really difficult, but I still think it had to be saved, and he saved it well. So the second half performance. This is where I know last week you had a bit more of a discussion about PSA. I thought, like we just said, Recre were on top. Obviously, they had that goal disallowed rightly for offside. They could have been fired up for the second half, but I think PSA sorted the team out, or I don't know, I thought his changes were good in this game as well, Luke.
Yeah, we were surprisingly very comfortable in second half. I really thought that Recre were going to come at us after that last 15 minutes of the half. But yeah, like you say, Matt, I think his changes was correct at times. The Puga one, especially, a couple of people picked up. He was just starting to get a bit erratic, a bit excited. I thought David Larrubia, when he came on, were great. Really, really needed that performance. Yeah. So yeah, no complaints whatsoever with the changes.
I think
we defended the 2-0 well, but not really. We didn't create much, didn't we, in the second half?
Yeah, I thought we did. I mean, Roberto could have easily have had 2. If anything, Recre really struggled to get out of their half, I felt, in the second half.
Yeah, I would say, like you just mentioned, David Larrubia, Luke, I was going to say, I think this was like this is the performance I wanted to see from him. He looked a bit wound up and not starting these games all the time. And it was him that set up that Roberto chance, wasn't it? I think it might be Gennaro with the tackle that set it up, sorry. But he was doing that a lot, I remember, where he was winning the ball back. And, not everything came off for him, but he did look particularly fired up, and let's hopefully.
There was a big chance, by the way, because that's the one I got on the video, right?
All right, yeah. I think
and obviously there was one I got on the video. I think it's that one.
Yeah, I think that was the big chance in the second half.
But I think Malaga should have gone for the 4 and 5-0 easily.
Yeah.
And I think we lacked a bit attacking work, but then we also defended well.
Yeah, but I think we just controlled the game, and
yes, we controlled the game.
if there was an opening, I think, I think there was one shot that went just wide. There was a Roberto chance. We weren't a million miles away from making it 3-0. Nick, what did you make of the second half performance and Payas's management and the players' management of the game?
I was going to say, we spent a lot of the time questioning him last week, whether he was the right man for the job. Whether he listened or not is a different matter. But I think in this match, he showed that he can work and manage his team well. Taking Puga off, like I say, good first half performance, but when you've not been playing lots of football recently, same for Aviles, it's time to rotate them in and put them back. And that's the great thing about this Malaga side now, is really you're getting a couple of players for sort of nearly every position, knowing that you can interchange them quite easily. Getting someone like La Rubia coming on with 15 minutes to go, who's hungry and keen to dislodge Daniel Lorenzo in his spot. Dione even coming on at 88 minutes, another striker who, is now intent on trying to match Roberto if he can try and dislodge him. It's a good position to be in. I thought offensively, we were great. Defensively, in that second half, we were even better. Perfect game, really. We could have had more, but I'm happy with the 2-0, if I'm honest with you. Against a playoff rival.
And maybe just
being such an important match, I totally agree. But my question is more like, it was there to take for the take. Like Recreativo didn't have much. Maybe we had to look more for the 3-0 or 4-0.
But I don't know if they were there for the take game, because they showed at the end of the first.
It's the first match in the season, which is also important, which we totally controlled. We had it under control, so that's fine. That's something I didn't see this season. So on the other hand, although while you probably are all sleeping under your PGCR posters again, does this mean for you guys that it's now all good again and you don't worry about PGCR anymore?
Look, after performance like we had last week, I think the thing here was get 3 points, and the performance came with it. So I can't see why we even need to bring up the Pellicer thing.
That's exactly it. You can't slag him off 1 week for being really poor and questioning his methods, and then when he delivers a win against a promotion rival who had only lost 2 games since November, you can't then bring it back up again and say, well, is he still the right man?
For me, it's still the same thing. For me, nothing changes because one good match, and next week we might lose again, or we might play shit again, and then we will be questioning him again. I think that's. I don't think he is the right man for Malaga. Well, he's not the right man for a team that needs to get promoted. And I'm still going to say it. I'm going to say it every week. And yes, I think he did a very good job this week. But that doesn't change my opinion.
What can Pellicer change to change that opinion, Chris? Or how can it help you lean more towards him?
It's not something he can change. It's just the style he plays. It's the not having one formation or one style to play. It's his.
That's good. I think.
I wouldn't say non-football, but it's like not getting a goal, putting importance in not getting a goal against you, and then hoping that maybe you score a goal yourself. And that strategy works, but it fails when you get a goal against you and there's still, 60 or 50 minutes to play. Then his whole system falls apart, or his style of play. And I think he's a great manager for a team that plays to stay safe, to not relegate mid-table teams. But I think it's not a manager who will get you promoted.
But yeah, okay. Well, again, I'm sure this discussion will come up a lot more. But anyway, let's just get this wrapped up and go on to the next bit. Let's do our Jumbo and Biznagas. So Jumbo's first. I'll go first with this one because we've mentioned him a couple of times, and I feel like I'm being really harsh here. I struggled to pick one, but the player I thought was the one that was worrying me the most was actually Carlos Puga. He was the one where they seemed to find a gap down that left a lot. I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize till last night until I watched the highlights back. It was him that put the cross in for Roberto, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll have to reconsider it. That is a great cross, but I'm being really harsh, and it was his debut, and he hasn't played much football. But when I had to pick the player I thought was the least effective, apart from the goal, it was him for me, and I feel really harsh about that. But I really struggle to think of anyone else, so I'm happy to hear other suggestions. Starting with you, Luke Chambers.
And now you've made me feel really harsh because you're on about an assist, and I've gone with Avile. I didn't think he did too much, but more importantly, it might be because he had his shirt tucked in and his shorts pulled up to his tits. That might have got him the chumbo this week.
I like him. I like his distinctive style. Let's go. Nick.
Well, it's always difficult when the full team's posting sevens that to pick a bad one. I think maybe I'm going to give a dishonorable mention for Aviles because he's our ginger prince. Again, building up to match fitness, he's got an assist. He's probably not at the right level just yet. I think out of everyone, Danny Lorenzo was just a little bit quiet this week, especially compared to his midfield compatriots. I think Gennaro and Molina were a lot busier than Lorenzo. And then when Larrubia came on, I think Larrubia showed a little bit more than Lorenzo in my view.
Just when you've just called Aviles our ginger prince, I just remember a thought I had about him yesterday when I saw his Instagram, because I think I had him follow his Instagram. And the first time I probably looked at him and I thought, he looks like one of those people that, at Christmas, Netflix put out these really awful Christmas rom-coms. He looks like the lead in one of those.
He's got the lips tattooed on his neck, hasn't he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. No, that sort of goes against the image I've got actually. Because they're usually quite clean cut and sort of nondescript, sort of quite handsome young men. And I thought he looks a bit like, I don't know, coming home for Christmas or something. I don't know, whatever Netflix calls.
I think Avila seems to have a touch of the bad boy image in him based on the tattoo.
I think he looks like the youngest Gleason child.
Yeah, that's true.
He looks like Brandon Gleason's son.
Yeah, that's true. He does have a bit of that. And Brandon Gleason's kids wouldn't be in Netflix rom-com specials, but we can analyze this more over the next few weeks. Chris, anyone different? Because we've all gone different so far.
I was going with Aviles. I think didn't bring enough. I can understand it because he didn't play for a long time. But he didn't really surprise me or anything.
Okay.
I think he can be a good player though if he gets a bit more fit and a bit more play time.
Yeah, I think I saw enough from him. I don't think he probably, now I think about it, probably would have been my second in least effective rather than bad performances. So yeah. Anyway, Biznaga, this is always difficult when we win. I guess I'll go first again since I went first last time. Again, I'll shout out Manu Molina. I thought was excellent, particularly in the first half, and obviously Roberto's carried on scoring. I thought Victor Garcia was great with his sort of little nutmeg in the first half. I can't remember, but for me, there's no doubt for me is Einar. I thought he was exceptional. I thought he got the goal, and then when they put us under the cosh, he won absolutely everything, and he looked really cool under pressure. Him and Monte looked like the centre-back partnership we hoped they would be. Yeah, Einar for me. Luke, what about you?
Yeah, you've taken the words out of my mouth, Matt. Einar, 100%. He needed this performance, I feel. Malaga were defensively solid. He bagged himself a goal. I do think La Rosaleda missed a huge trick not singing Galileo on the goal. But yeah, Einar for me. Honourable mentions for Nick's Manu. I thought, again, like you mentioned earlier, Manu next to Gennaro, the real stability. Gennaro does the work, and then you've got the cute footballer, Manu Molina. So yeah, getting better every week.
Can I get that official apology yet, Luke?
Yeah, I apologise. Hey. he's a baller. He's a baller.
Nick, are you going with Manu Molina or someone else?
I really want to go with Manu Molina just because I can. But no, I'm going to go with Einar. Galileo as well. I thought he had an exemplary performance. And again, we've slated him a lot in the past 3 months for poor performances. So when he delivers one as exemplary as this, we've got to give him Biznaga. Same shout outs to you, Matt. I think Roberto deserves a shout out as well. Ferrero, I think Ferrero, even when he plays below what he's played recently, he's still so effective. He's someone who always finds a bit of space on that right-hand side, especially in close quarters. So again, he impressed me once again. And the fact he's now playing nearly 90 minutes is a great thing for us going forward.
Yeah, he opens the pitch a lot. So he creates room, space, a lot of space for other players too.
Yeah, he's the one as well that put that cross in that Aviles fluffed, where he like volleyed it across the box first time, which was a great cross, actually. Yeah. And you know, for us sort of 35, 36-year-olds, he's a shining light for us. Yeah. Chris, to finish off, who is your Biznaga?
I'm going a bit differently.
Okay.
And here's another thing I don't really understand why Pellicer, anything of Pellicer, what he does, because although I agree a special mention for Einar, but he's been playing like shit for like the past 3 months.
Chris,
he played a very good match, so I will name him. But then again, Pellicer saying after the match how good my friend Musa is. But then he had like 3 months to play Musa, but he didn't because Einar had to play.
Chris, are you giving Musa the Biznaga? Is this going to be the first time ever?
No, because it feels wrong. But I'm not giving it to Einar, although he played great. But just to explain a bit what I think of Pellicer again. And why I think it's a bit odd. But I'm going with Manu Molina because I think Manu Molina played a great match. Very important again. Great passes. Really understands the match. Can read the game. Does know where to pass. And I think that was what we have been missing the whole season so far.
Okay. I'm going to end on a positive. Chris has convinced me otherwise because Einar's been so bad over the last few weeks and months, and he plays this well. I think we've got to give Biznaga to Sergio Pellicer for the work he's doing on the training pitch to make these players so good.
Sergio.
I'm joking. No, I'm
how can you look at yourself watching in the mirror and you say, oh yeah, maybe Pellicer is not so great. Oh, he won again. Oh yeah, no, Pellicer really great. Oh, we love him.
I'm stuck by him. I do not wear Sergio Pellicer pajamas. I am not, obsessed with him.
No, not from you, Matt, because you always backed him up. But there are other people who said last week, no, I'm not such a. No, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
But no one said that, Chris. No one said that. You can judge a man off his last performance, right?
No, you said.
Just let me talk for once, Chris. Just let me talk without being interrupted, right? You can't. If you went to work and you had a poor piss day at work on the Tuesday, and your manager slated you on the Tuesday night, but then you had a mega great day work on Wednesday, do you want to be remembered for your Tuesday day or your Wednesday day? That's what Pellicer is going through. So if he's going to have a good week, give him a pat on the back. He's a man under pressure. He's got the crowd on top of him. He's had a shit time of it. He's had a good result. Just back him.
Preach, brother, preach.
No. Why? Because
it's supposed to be a happy podcast.
Yeah, but
Chris, smile.
It's still.
Go on, say it. Sergio.
No, because it's still strange how we were questioning him last week, and now we are celebrating him like he's got.
Why we're celebrating him this week? So there we go.
Yeah,
and let's look forward.
Don't come judging him again or doubting him in the next few weeks.
And if he gets turned over 6-0 by Alcoyano, I'll slag him off next week as well.
He can prove me wrong from here on. But I still don't think he's the right manager for Malaga. one win doesn't change that for me. I'm happy it helps for you, but for me, no.
Okay.
But you wanted to say something, Matt, before I take total control?
I was trying to twist it back to a positive so we could go into the next bit positive, but every time I do that, it sort of gets
descends into chaos.
yeah. So let's carry on the Peya Netta and let's go to Alcoyano. So yeah, next up from Malaga is Alcoyano this Saturday evening at 6 p.m. I think we referenced it at the start already. Like there are fans going to this game. I'm going to this game. I got my ticket today, so I'm very excited to start my week off in Alcoy and then a few days in Alicante to unwind. Chris, there is a few other Malaga fans coming, courtesy of a TikToker.
No.
Okay,
It's
tell me what's
happening. It's not happening.
Okay,
you're
explain.
not.
Explain.
Yesterday. What?
No, carry on.
Yesterday, Carlillo Nervio TikToked. Do you call it TikToking? I don't know what you call it. TikToked. That he was going to. Well, that he had arranged with Malaga Club de Football to get a bus and tickets to fill the bus with the Malaga fans and to take them for free to Alcoy to see Malaga play against Alcoyano. But a lot of Peñas and a lot of Malaga fans got angry.
Yeah, I saw.
I don't really understand why.
Me neither.
Because a Malaga fan with 1 million followers on TikTok, who is giving the club some attention a lot of attention always on his TikTok account. I think that's good to raise awareness for the club. And I think it's good for the people in Malaga and definitely for the young TikTokers to see that also famous big people who are very hip are backing the club and are supporting the club. So I think that's good from the club, and I think it's good from Carlillo to do this for Malaga. But he got a lot of critics because he was going to take a lot of people who are not such a Malaguista. Well, you don't know who he's taking, because if you spend 6 hours to Alcoy, I think you have to be pretty mad on a Saturday. I think you are showing that you're a big Malaguista already. And it was a nice gesture from him to show people who don't have that much money to give them the opportunity to go with him. And after the critics, he said, "Well, this isn't what I wanted." So I thank Malaga. Malaga wasn't going to pay €1 for it because it was all sponsored, I guess, by a sponsor of Malaga Club de Football. So I think it's ridiculous. I think a lot of times the biggest problem at Malaga are the Malaguistas itself with these things.
Yeah, it's again, like you said, I sort of get why the Peñas might come out and say, why aren't we getting help? But equally, we could be here all day saying, well, why isn't money going here and why is it going there or whatever? It seemed pretty like a good gesture to me, and it was a bit, a bit gimmicky, but who cares? It's a bit gimmicky. It sort of raised the program.
What do the Peñas need help with? Because what they do is sell tickets and sell bus places, and with that they cover the bus and the tickets. So I don't really understand. You could also say, why could 500 Peña members go to the Antequera game, but wasn't able for other people to go to Antequera, like you, for example, or other Malaguistas who wanted to go?
I've been now.
It's fair that all the tickets always go to the Peñas, for example. You know what I mean? So
now that game was a bit more complicated, wasn't it? But anyway.
yeah, but it doesn't make sense, does it? Because if Malaga decides to do that, it's great for the club. It's publicity. It's everything. So why do you have to have critics on it? Well, Malaga wasn't going to pay anything.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just thought it was perhaps worth mentioning the sort of politics behind Malaga fandom. Let's actually go and talk about the game a little bit. Luke, you're usually good for this. Do you know anything about Alcoyano?
There's a couple of things. I know that they tried to take a huge shit on our GearyCast meetup day. They also, if you remember, had the horrible weird moon kit. Like really weird theme, but in terms of Alcoyano, they currently sit in 11th place. They only lost 2 of their last games, so it's not going to be very easy. They've lost 4 out of 12 home games, that's all, so they are relatively strong at home. Interestingly, they've played 24 games, scored 24 goals, and conceded
24. I've made a note of that.
24 goals. So I don't think there's any real player to know. They'll play on the counter, I believe. And sometimes that is Malaga's Achilles heel. Like, don't you think when teams have come to Rosaleda and played on the counter, we struggle from the odd time?
Yeah, but not anymore because we have Pellicer.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
But we also need to remember, on a positive note, we are the top goal scorers away from home in this league.
Yeah, I noticed with them as well. You said there's no standout players. If you look at their stats for the season, they don't really have any sort of standout goal scorers. There's quite a lot of players that've scored 1 and 2. I think their top goal scorer is some centre midfielder with 4 goals. So
yeah, when I was looking around, it seems like they do very much spread the goals because they can put the ball in the net.
Yeah, we should say the worrying thing is they scored 2 goals away at Melilla in their last game, and we know how tough it is to play on that pitch. So more excitingly for me, by the way, when I did type in, because I don't know anything about Alcoy apart from the football team, and I only really know about them beating Real Madrid a few years ago. That was my first sort of knowledge of them. But if I do get bored there, I can either go to the Museum of Festivity, which sounds fun, or the Firefighter Museum. So
that could be interesting, that one, Matt, the Firefighting Museum.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully Malaga burn the place down on the pitch or something like that, and we're not putting out fires. I was trying to think of some really
sounds like the most boring place you have ever watched football in Spain, Matt.
I don't know. And apparently lots of bridges. It looks quite pretty.
Okay.
And I should add, by the way, this is going to be my second Primera doubleheader weekend, because amazingly, Intercity are at home the next night when I'm in Alicante, and they're playing in the ground I didn't get to go to earlier in the season. So I'm gone Primera local recently.
Matt, you could go to the deepest, darkest places in Spain and your pictures would still look absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure Nick will agree. We are very, very jealous every time we see these pictures.
Okay, apologies. I'll try. I'll cut it out.
No, we encourage.
Nick, how do you feel about this game? Are you excited for Malaga avenging, as Luke put it, the time Alcoyano shat on our GearyCast day out?
No, I'm not looking forward to it, to be fair. I think you can see why their form, and especially their home form, is they really like to be quite turgid to play against, but get results. And I think that will frustrate us, and it'll make for a frustrating 90 minutes of football. I also, the live stream, if we're doing one, is going to be the same time as the rugby, so I'm going to have to dual screen between the football and the rugby as well, which is not going to be much fun. But I don't know, they make me nervous. I think you look at the size of the team, you look at the name of the team, you think, man, it's just Alcoyano. That's exactly what I did when we played them at home, and they turned us over. And I'm a little bit worried again that we are so inconsistent that it's not a given that we're going to get 3 points here.
Yeah, there's okay.
We will get 3 points. We have Pellicer. Everything will be all right. He will get us the 3 points because that's the guy he is.
I was going to say that I think Luke touched upon it a little bit. like Alcoyano, like usually when we do these things, we go, oh, they're in form or they're out of form. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to their results. They just go up and down all season. Yeah. So, like I think Luke's just said, they're better at home, but who knows? Do we expect a sort of rotated 11 again? Anyone new to come in?
I don't know anymore. I think the team will stay. I just don't know.
I'd expect Hakeem back in the team.
I was going to say I expect Hakeem to come back in.
I expect Monte and Joe and Einar at centre backs, and I know Roberto is playing, and Manu Molina, and Genaro, and the rest. I don't know.
I think Danny Sanchez mid again as well. Just with giving Aviles time to settle in. I don't think him starting again will be the way forward. I think he'll be brought on as a sub, and I think Danny Sanchez seems to be forging himself a bit of a role as a left mid, so I expect him to start as well.
Interestingly, you say that though, Nick. I don't know if you guys saw, but Danny Sanchez on 4 yellow cards, meaning if he gets booked against Alcoyano, he's out of Ibiza. So whether he'd start against Ibiza or not, we need that backup left back, if you know what I mean. Whether it's Danny Sanchez or Victor Garcia, if he would pick up a yellow and
are you a big fan of Danny Sanchez?
You are?
I'm a fan of Danny Sanchez. Yeah, I think
I think Danny Sanchez has been great.
I think he's great. Yeah, I think he's not let us down at all. And I mean, I'm going to say it, in the game on Sunday, I was thinking when Danny Sanchez came on at left wing, I thought that makes more sense than bringing Kevin on. It felt like more of a Danny Sanchez game. I've got to be honest with you.
I think as well, it's great for him because he's a Malaga fan as well. He's living his fucking dream at the end of the day. So every performance he puts in, don't get me wrong, performance-wise, he's not always an 8, 9 out of 10, but he gives it everything. Even when he makes a mistake, he gives it everything to rectify it, which is just refreshing to see, maybe from a Malaga perspective, because we haven't really had too many players in the last 3, 4, 5 seasons that you can say have died for the badge on the pitch.
Maybe the other player what possibly deserves a start is, do you think David Alubia did enough to come in for maybe Lorenzo?
Yeah, I think it's between. I was going to say, I thought you were going to say for Aviles, between him or Danny Sanchez.
Well, I was just thinking with Aviles, I think the door's open for maybe Dione or even, like we mentioned, which we didn't mention about Kevin. Where's Kevin?
I thought Larubia against Alcoyano last time we played him, he got bullied in that game. And again, this is a team a bit stoky.
Yeah. I'd put Danny Lorenzo in this game. I think he's good at. I just think he's been good this season. I know. I thought he was quite really good against in the last game, actually. Even though Nick said Jumbo, was it you said Jumbo?
Yeah, no, it's between them. I just thought.
Yeah, I know you were absolutely damning of him, but still. Should mention as well. I guess we didn't mention this earlier that Juanpe and Sangali are back in training, and apparently Ramon as well.
We've been here before. We've been here before.
Now, Ramon had his first ball contact ever this week. He was training already, but today he trained the first time with the ball a bit, just passing it. So he's still far from coming back.
We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league.
How much he's won? Not won. How much he's learned from Manu Molina over the last few weeks? Because Manu Molina is sort of a wiser Ramon almost.
It is a danger to think about, because you naturally wouldn't replace Genaro for Ramon if he was to come back in. You certainly wouldn't play Ramon as a 10. So it is a bit of a straight battle. Maybe there'll be a head over heart question for me there.
Do you think they can push Manu a little bit forward into a 10 though? I think he can play that.
I wouldn't want to be fair.
No.
I think coming back to Kevin, I think it could be very possible, without frightening you, man, that Kevin is not go. We are not going to see Kevin as much as we did in the first half of the season. I think. I'm not saying he's exit, but I'm also saying he's not a lineup player anymore.
One thing what I got written. one thing I've got written down is I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it. Obviously, Kevin, he had a couple of little knocks over Christmas time when he missed the game. And then Pellicer seemed to have rushed him back in. Do you think his fitness hasn't really recovered from that kind of time? Do you think that that's why he's been in and out of the team, or his performances have lacked a bit?
Yeah, because exactly. I sort of partly agree with what Chris said as well. I don't think we're not going to see him, but it's going to be tough for him to get that. Certainly to get his starting place back. I don't, because I know like the last time I was on the podcast, I sort of joked we did a bit of a hatchet job on him a little bit. I think he's been good this season. I think he's had a bad 2024, but I think he's had a lot of injuries. He had that bad home game against someone recently, which I've forgotten.
Valieres.
So I don't think there's no hope there, but it's not, I think Danny Sanchez is sort of ahead of him. Aviles seems to be in front of him at the moment. He's got to do, like when David LaRubia came on the other day and looked like a maniac, but in a sort of controlled maniac. That's what Kevin needs to do when he gets his chance. And maybe he does need to get fit. And I suppose the other thing is when he was said, right, go on, show us what you can do. He was chucked on that pitch in Melilla, which maybe doesn't quite suit him. Didn't suit anyone really.
The good thing for Kevin, though, will be there isn't a dead cert on for left wing or for left mid. Like I say, Danny Sanchez is deputising brilliant out there, but let's not forget he is one of our two left backs. So it's up to him, to put into performance, like you say, Matt, to warrant getting back into it, and maybe taking a leaf. We talk about Ramon looking to an older head in Molina. If Kevin can look at what Ferrero does and then replicates that on the left-hand side, we've got trouble there. But it's that willingness to listen and that willingness to learn and go, well, actually, I'm going to do it the team way rather than the way I want to do it.
But I think my thing there is, it sounds stupid. I want him to do it the Kevin way a bit more, because I think he was being too safe and conservative, and I want him to run at players more. And
I think Kevin did that at the beginning of the season, didn't he? When we said he looked like a different kind of player, a different animal, he had something to prove.
Yeah, exactly. And I want that back.
Got to do that again, hasn't he? That's the thing. And like I say, it doesn't stop Ferrero from running at people, but there's just I don't know. There's more of a measure to Ferrero, I suppose. But like you say, the chaos that Kevin can bring can also be an asset. So it's up to him to get up to speed.
The problem I have with Kevin is that it always leads to nothing, or almost always leads to nothing.
But I don't think it did at the start of the season, to be honest with you. I think, he's not been great from December onwards. I'd agree with that, but
all it takes is a goal, guys. A goal, an assist, something like that.
And let's remember, Alcoyano at home, who tucked in the penalty. To be fair, much to my own surprise. It was a great penalty as well. I forgot.
And what shirt did they go and hold up when they celebrated? Can you remember? Yes, High Time. It was the week after the injury, I think it was.
Yes, it was, because we were quite optimistic after a very good second half against Ibiza. And let's try and remain optimistic before going to Alcoyano and wrap things up there. Is there anything we need to plug before I forget, guys?
Sure. For me, I know Nick mentioned it, but for me, there'll be a live stream. Me and Nick will try and get on with each other with one eye on the rugby, whether Nick's here or not. But I think it's there'll be one for everybody.
I think let's see how the flavour is on Saturday afternoon for me, because there is a slight chance if I get a text from the father going, I'm down the pub, there's a load of Scotland fans here, I might be down there. But if not, I'm going to definitely dual screen it. So I'm going to set myself up in the cinema room and get the rugby on one telly, Malaga on the other, and then watch it alongside you. And we can maybe even have it as like a Malaga, Alcoyano, England, Scotland live stream.
Don't tease me.
I'll try and make my usual sort of slurry appearance from the away end if I can. We'll see. Chris, is there anything else we need to shout out before we say bye-bye?
Yes, a lot. If you're not in our Telegram group yet, get in there. And if you don't follow us on TikTok, X, or Twitter, I don't know what you want to call it, Instagram, Threads, Facebook,
YouTube.
Amazon, YouTube, yes, YouTube. I'll come to YouTube last. Amazon, OnlyFans. If you're not following us there yet, go and give us a follow. It means a lot. But most important is we are trying to grow our YouTube channel, and I think the next goal is 250 subscribers on YouTube. So please, if you're not have a subscription yet on our YouTube, go and subscribe because it means a lot to us. And I think with the videos, with the shorts, with the live commentary, I think we're doing a very great job, and it's very cool to stay updated with Malaga. So
Yes.
subscribe.
Right. Cheers, guys. Do all those things all those people have just told you to do.
Yes.
Thank you, Nick Bell.
Thank you very much, guys. Always a joy. And yeah, hopefully 3 points. Huge 3 puntos on the weekend. And vamos, Malaga.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Luke Chambers.
Thank you very much, Matt. I hope everyone has a great week leading up to the game. I hope Sergio Pellicer has a fantastic week and a very happy weekend. Vamos, Malaga.
And Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you. Vamos Malaga and vamos Pellicer.
There you go. Lovely stuff. And thank you guys for listening. Go and subscribe to all those things Chris has just mentioned. And we will see you soon. Adios. Siempre vamos, Malaga.